Flags. Every country has one. In fact, you're not allowed to have a country without one.
Do you have a flag? No flag, no country. You can't have one. That's the rules that I've just made up.
Flags aren't just a piece of fabric with a picture on it. They represent identity, change, and history. Today we're diving into the fascinating journey of New Zealand's flags, how they evolved, the controversies, and what they mean today. From the first Maori chosen flag in the 1830s to the modern debate about whether New Zealand should choose a new design, each of these flags has a unique story to tell. So let's take a step back in time and take a look. The first New Zealand flag, the United Tribes flag. This flag was first flown in 1834. In the early 19th century, New Zealand was not yet a British colony, and trade was becoming increasingly important. However, Maori chiefs who owned trading ships faced a major problem. Without a recognised national flag, their boats were considered illegal in international waters. To solve this, in 1834, 34 northern Maori chiefs, guided by British resident James Busby, gathered at Waitangi to select a flag. They chose a design known as the United Tribes of New Zealand flag. It featured a red St. George's cross on a white background with a blue canton containing 4 white 8-pointed stars. This flag was recognised by King William IV and became New Zealand's first official flag. The Union Jack. Now, a few years after the United Tribes flag, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed in 1840 and New Zealand became a colony of the British Empire. With that, the Union Jack replaced the United Tribes flag and became the dominant symbol of authority across New Zealand. Actually, for decades, the Union Jack was flown over government buildings and military sites, representing New Zealand's status as a British territory. Of course, famously, not everyone accepted British rule. In 1845, Māori leader Hone Heke famously cut down the British flagstaff in Kororareka, which is now known as Russell, multiple times in protest against British sovereignty. As New Zealand's identity developed, it became clear that a distinct national flag was needed, one that reflected its growing independence from Britain. The birth of our current New Zealand flag. Now, early attempts at a New Zealand flag lacked creativity, but we were getting somewhere. Whether you think it's a bit dull or not, the first version of what we now recognise as the New Zealand flag was introduced in 1869, but at that time it was only meant for government and naval use. It was based on the British Blue Ensign, with the distinctive addition of 4 red stars with white borders representing the Southern Cross constellation. However, it wasn't until 1902 that the New Zealand Ensign officially became the country's national flag. The government, led by Premier Richard Seddon, pushed for a flag that would symbolise New Zealand's growing autonomy while still acknowledging its ties to Britain. And after some debate, the current flag design was approved by King Edward VII. Despite this new flag, the Union Jack remained a strong presence in New Zealand life. For decades, many Kiwis still considered themselves British first and New Zealanders second. It wasn't until the World Wars that the New Zealand flag truly took on its full meaning as a national symbol of pride and identity. Now, you may have seen this next flag quite a lot recently. It's the Tino Rangatiratanga flag. And this flag was designed in 1990 as part of increasing efforts to recognise Māori culture and sovereignty. The black of this flag represents Te Kore, the void and the potential. The red symbolises Te Ao Marama, the world of light, and the white represents harmony and balance. The koru, or spiral, reflects new life and growth. The Tino Rangatiratanga flag has become a symbol for Māori rights movements. After a lot of debate, in 2010 the government officially recognised it as a national Māori flag, which means that given its official status, on Waitangi Day it also flies alongside the current New Zealand flag. But what about the Great Flag Referendum of 2015 to 2016? After over 100 years of using the current New Zealand flag, a lot of people started to ask the question, does New Zealand need a new flag? Many argued that the current design was too similar to Australia's and too tied to colonial history. Others felt that the flag was a proud part of the nation's legacy and it shouldn't be changed. In 2015 to 2016, the government held a national referendum to decide whether to replace the current flag. After an initial vote, a silver fern designed by Kyle Lockwood was chosen as the main contender. It featured a black, white and blue background with the iconic silver fern and the Southern Cross. The final vote came down to a head-to-head decision between the current flag and the new design. In the end, 57% of New Zealanders voted to keep the existing flag, while 43% supported change. So that settled the debate, at least for now. But what do you reckon? Maybe the alternative design just wasn't the right one. So New Zealand's flag history is a story of its identity and how our identity in the country has changed over the years. Each flag that we have used, right up to the debates over a new design, represents a different chapter in the country's history. So that's how we got our flag, but how did we even get the name New Zealand in the first place? Well, take a look at this video for the answer.